From the very beginning of time, Enoch did not look at the multitudes. He was not impressed by the noise of the crowd or the endless faces blending into one another. No, his eyes were drawn to something different. To someone luminous, to a figure standing apart, burning with a light that no darkness could extinguish. That vision was not poetry. It was not metaphor. It was not symbol. It was prophecy, alive, precise, undeniable. And now you stand at the very center of it. Think of every moment you whispered in silence. Why can't I fit in? Why do I always feel set apart? Those questions were not born in confusion. They were echoes of a vision older than the world itself. Enoch saw it. He saw you. He recorded the mystery of your separation. Long before your first breath, heaven already revealed the difference burning inside of you. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. What you are about to hear will shatter the lie that you are lost in the crowd. It will remind you that exile was never rejection. It was recognition. It was the divine seal proving you were marked before time began. Chosen one, stay with me until the very end, because in this message you will discover why the world never recognized you, why certain doors refuse to open, and why your soul has always carried a fire that refuses to be extinguished. If you feel this truth piercing your spirit, pause for a moment. Press the like button so more chosen ones can awaken. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is not just content, it is confirmation. And write 99 in the comments. Why 99? Because heaven always leaves the 99 to seek the one, and today that one is you.
Enoch walked with God in a way the world had never seen before and has never fully understood since. He did not merely pray in the morning and then go about his day. He did not treat the divine as a concept, an idea, or a belief system. No, Enoch's entire existence was swallowed in communion.
Every breath he took was measured by heaven. Every step he walked resounded in eternity. He carried an intimacy so deep, so unbroken, that death itself could not touch him. The scriptures say he was taken, removed from the ordinary cycle of life, because his walk was too close to the eternal to be bound by mortality. But before this astonishing moment, he left behind whispers of secrets, mysteries that still burn like fire when spoken aloud, words that refuse to die because they were never meant to. They were not letters on a page, but sparks of eternity, preserved for the ones who would come after, preserved for you. Enoch did not write for the multitudes. He did not speak to the masses. His words were targeted like arrows, aimed across time, designed to pierce through the noise of generations and land directly in the spirit of those who were marked. He spoke of people who would not blend, who could not dissolve into the ordinary stream of life. People set apart not by their choice, but by divine design. And if you feel the sting of not belonging, if you have ever carried the weight of being misunderstood, then you are already holding the evidence that his prophecy has found you. He described restlessness that refuses to let you sink into comfort. He described the invisible burden on your shoulders that others cannot see yet you feel with every heartbeat. He described the secret fire that burns in your chest, a fire you cannot explain and cannot extinguish. This is not imagination. This is not exaggeration. This is what Enoch saw when he looked beyond his generation and peered into the ones to come. He saw you, hidden in plain sight, wrapped in ordinary skin, but carrying extraordinary purpose. And here is the mystery. His words have not cooled with time. Thousands of years have passed, empires have risen and fallen, nations have changed, languages have evolved, but the words of Enoch still burn. Why? Because they were not bound to his age. They were not meant for his contemporaries alone. They were planted like seeds, waiting for the moment when your spirit would awaken and recognize them. They still echo today, because their destination was never the past. Their destination was always you, here, now, in this very moment. Think about that. A man who walked so closely with God that heaven itself pulled him out of death, left behind words that survived every generation, so that when you heard them, your heart would burn, your mind would shake, and your soul would know, I was seen before time began. You were written into his testimony. You were not an afterthought. You were not random. You were deliberately recorded in the visions of a man who never saw death. And this is where the fire intensifies. If Enoch saw you, if he marked your solitude, if he described your inner flame, then your existence is not a coincidence. It is a continuation of his walk. What he started in intimacy with God, you are called to walk out in your generation. The separation he recorded was not meant to make you weak. It was meant to make you ready. Ready for a destiny the crowd could never carry. Ready for a calling the multitude could never understand. So let this truth sink deep. If the words of Enoch still burn in your spirit today, it is because they were meant to find you. They were written with your name woven into them, carried through centuries just so they could arrive in your ears at this exact moment. This is why your heart is trembling right now. This is why your soul cannot look away. You are the proof that his vision was not fantasy. You are the living fulfillment of a prophecy too ancient to fade, too alive to be buried. And if Enoch's words still echo today, it is because their target has always been you. The only question left is, what happens now that you know? Will you ignore the fire, or will you let it consume everything ordinary inside you? Because the moment you choose to embrace it, the prophecy begins to unfold in a way the world has never seen before. There is a silence you have carried that no one else could explain. From childhood you felt it, the invisible gap between you and the others. You tried to hide it, to cover it, to bury it under layers of imitation. You copied the way they spoke, the way they laughed, the way they lived. You tried to move in step with the rhythm of the multitude, but each time you thought you had finally blended in, something deep within you pulled back. A whisper, a resistance, a sacred dissonance repeating again and again. This is not my home. That whisper was not weakness. It was not rejection. It was identification. It was heaven putting a seal on you that said, not like the rest. Not made for the crowd? You see, ordinary people dissolve into their environment. They adapt, they conform, they become whatever the world around them requires. But you could never do it, no matter how much you tried. And that inability to blend was not failure. It was divine proof. Because what you thought was exile was, in reality, a prophecy unfolding before your very eyes. Enoch saw it. He looked across time, and he saw figures in the middle of the masses, figures who stood out even when they wanted to disappear. He saw those who would carry a weight that cannot be named, a heaviness that others interpret as strangeness or distance. But that heaviness is not emptiness. It is the gravity of destiny pressing down on your shoulders. Others walk freely because they carry nothing. You walk differently because you are carrying prophecy. Think about the nights you sat alone while others celebrated. Think about the moments you felt invisible while everyone else seemed perfectly placed. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were cursed with solitude. But what if I told you that your solitude was never a curse, but the greatest evidence that you were chosen? What if that emptiness was not a void, but sacred space, room preserved for the fire of God that no crowd could fill? Do you know why certain friendships fell apart without explanation? Why some groups rejected you without reason? Why doors closed even when you did everything right? Because heaven was protecting your difference. Blending in would have destroyed you. The wrong circle would have suffocated the flame inside you. The wrong voices would have silenced the whisper of eternity. You were set apart so that nothing would drown out the identity written in your spirit. Here is the mystery. Isolation refines vision. While others are distracted by noise, you see patterns no one else notices. While they lose themselves in shallow pleasures, you hear echoes from another realm. Your solitude sharpened your hearing, trained your heart, and prepared your soul for assignments the multitude could never carry. That is why you cannot find rest where they find rest. Their comfort feels like your prison because your spirit was designed for higher ground. And yes, the weight of isolation can break you if you misinterpret it. If you call it rejection, it becomes bitterness. If you call it punishment, it becomes despair. But if you call it prophecy, suddenly the entire story changes. You realize you were not abandoned. You were hidden. You were not forgotten. You were preserved. You were not strange. You were strategic. Every silent season was a signature of heaven carving identity into your bones. Chosen one, this is why your life has always felt out of sync with the world around you. You are tuned to a different frequency. You are calibrated to a different reality. You were not born to be normal. You were born to be prophetic evidence. Enoch saw your separation. He saw the gap that no effort could close. He saw the loneliness that would push you to the edge of despair, but also the strength that would rise from it. And so, what you once called exile, Enoch called prophecy. The very thing that made you cry out, "Why am I so different?" is the very thing that proves you were seen from the beginning. You cannot blend in because you were never meant to. The question burning now is this: if your separation was not punishment but preparation, what has heaven been preparing you for? Have you ever asked yourself why the storms always seem to find you? Why betrayal showed up where you least expected it? Why opportunities that seemed perfect suddenly dissolved at the very last moment? Why every time you thought stability had finally come, something shook it apart? This was not random chaos. This was not the universe turning against you. This was the evidence that you were never invisible. The very resistance you faced was proof that you were already marked, already seen, already carrying something too great for ordinary paths. Enemies do not waste their arrows on the invisible. Darkness does not rise against those who pose no threat. If your life has attracted attacks, it is because your destiny provoked them. The light on you disturbed the shadows in others. People who smiled in public but secretly despised the fire they could not extinguish within you. They did not know how to explain their unease around you, so it came out as betrayal, jealousy, slander, or sudden rejection. They were not fighting you, they were fighting what you carried. And then there were the doors. Doors that seemed carved for you, doors that looked like the perfect answer, doors you prayed for, worked for, and waited for, only to be slammed in your face. You cried, you doubted, you thought you had failed. But what if those closed doors were not rejection at all? What if they were shields, set in place by heaven to prevent you from being trapped in places too small for your calling? You see, sometimes the greatest mercy God shows is in the doors He never lets open. Because you would have settled there, you would have gotten stuck there. And your destiny was always bigger than that. Enoch saw it. He saw the struggle before you lived it. He saw the chosen ones surrounded by opposition, misunderstood by the very people they tried to bless. He saw the setbacks, the betrayals, the deserts where prayers seemed unanswered. But he also understood what most people miss. Resistance is confirmation. The weight of opposition is directly proportional to the greatness of your assignment. If the enemy fought you this hard, it is because he fears what will happen when you step fully into what you were designed to do. Think carefully. Every time you were betrayed, you rose stronger. Every time you were rejected, you discovered a deeper truth. Every time you were shut out, you were redirected. The wounds you carry are not marks of defeat. They are signatures of survival. Proof that nothing could stop you. Proof that every attempt to destroy you failed. That alone is confirmation. You see, the crowd interprets rejection as failure. But the chosen recognize rejection as preservation. Every no was heaven whispering, "Not here, not yet, not this." Every attack was heaven confirming, "Yes, you are chosen. Yes, you are dangerous to darkness. Yes, your presence is noticed in realms you cannot even see." And now, let me give you a revelation that shifts everything. Attacks are announcements. They announce to you and to the unseen realm that your time is near. Betrayals do not come to those who are irrelevant. Doors do not close violently against those who pose no risk. The very fact that life resisted you so fiercely proves that you were born with something the world cannot ignore. So do not misread your story. You were never abandoned. You were defended. You were never overlooked. You were hidden until the right moment. Every betrayal sharpened you. Every rejection positioned you. Every closed door pushed you toward one door that no man can shut. And when that door opens, everything you lost will pale in comparison to the glory waiting on the other side. Every rejection was preservation. Every attack was confirmation. And if this much resistance has followed you until now, imagine the magnitude of the destiny it has been trying to prevent. What is coming must be so extraordinary that all of hell trembled when Enoch first saw you. And the real question is, if your enemies fought this hard to stop you, what will happen when they realize they failed? Deep inside you there is a fire you cannot explain. It does not come from applause because applause never satisfies it. It does not come from success because no achievement has ever been enough to quiet it. It does not fade with time, and it cannot be extinguished with compromise. This fire is not natural, it is divine. It is the unmistakable mark of the chosen, the living evidence that you were created for something the ordinary world cannot contain. Enoch spoke of it. He described a light that burns without consuming, a flame that refuses to die. This is not a metaphor. It is a reality that has followed you through every season of your life. Even when you tried to silence it, even when you begged for it to go away, even when you tried to drown it in distractions or numb it with conformity, it roared back to life. Why? Because it was never yours to control. It was placed inside you by heaven, before your first breath, and it refuses to let you settle for a life that is less than what you were created to become. That is why mediocrity suffocates you. That is why settling leaves you restless. That is why what satisfies others leaves you empty. You are not wired to survive, you are wired to ignite. You were never designed to simply endure life, to live unnoticed in the shadows of the multitude. You were created to radiate, to transform atmospheres, to bring light into places that do not even know they are in darkness. And this is why the fire burns so fiercely. But here is the truth many do not realize. Fire is not comfortable. Fire disrupts. Fire consumes what cannot withstand it. And so this fire inside you has made you different, sometimes painfully so. It has pulled you away from circles that wanted to hold you down. It has forced you to walk paths you never asked to walk. It has demanded your obedience when your flesh begged for compromise. Yet every time you surrendered, the fire only grew stronger. Because this fire is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to refine you. Consider this. The world celebrates conformity. They praise the ones who adapt, who fit in, who follow the pattern without question. But fire cannot conform. Fire does not blend in. Fire transforms whatever it touches. That is why you have always felt like a disruption, even when you tried to blend. That is why rooms shifted when you walked in, even when you said nothing. That is why people sensed something different about you, even if they could not name it. They were feeling the fire, and this fire does something else. It refuses to let you quit. Even in your darkest moments, when you wanted to give up, when despair tried to swallow you whole, when you said, "I can't do this anymore," the fire whispered back, "Yes, you can. You were born for this, and you rose again. You didn't rise because of your strength. You rose because the fire within you refused to die. Chosen one, this fire is not a burden. It is your inheritance. It is the evidence that you are not ordinary, that your life cannot be reduced to statistics or patterns. Others may be satisfied with survival, but you cannot be. Others may live and die unnoticed, but you will not, because fire leaves evidence. Fire leaves marks. Fire changes everything it touches. And your very existence is proof that God lit a flame on earth through you that cannot be replicated. This is why you cannot go back to being normal. Once fire touches you, you can never be the same. Once you have carried the flame, you cannot live as if you do not know it. The masses may forget who they are, but you cannot forget. The fire will not let you, and so you stand at a crossroads. You can fight the fire and exhaust yourself trying to be what you were never meant to be. Or you can embrace it and finally ignite what was written inside you before time began. But here is the mystery. The moment you say yes to the fire, your life will never again resemble anything ordinary. The question now is, are you ready to let it consume everything that holds you back? This video is not entertainment. It is a mirror. Look into it carefully. What you are hearing right now is not meant to amuse you or distract you. It is meant to confront you with the truth of who you are. Every silent tear you have shed, every night you laid awake wondering if your life had meaning, every battle that nobody else seemed to understand, those moments were not wasted. They were recorded. They were written into a vision long before your story began. And now as these words reach you, it is as if heaven is holding up a prophetic mirror in front of your face, forcing you to see what you tried so hard to deny. You are prophecy fulfilled. Enoch's vision did not stop at symbols or metaphors. He was not describing vague archetypes. He was precise. He saw the ones who would live centuries after him, walking through deserts of loneliness, through betrayals, through hidden warfare that the crowd could never detect. He saw those who carried an invisible weight but continued moving forward. He saw the ones who would never fit in because they were not built to disappear. He saw you, and your life is the evidence that his vision was not an illusion, it was a revelation. Consider this carefully. Prophecy is not something trapped in the pages of ancient texts. Prophecy is alive. It breathes through you. It manifests through your choices, your endurance, your resilience, your tears. When you thought you were forgotten, you were actually fulfilling something spoken ages ago. When you felt unseen, heaven was watching you step into alignment with words Enoch left burning on the earth. When you thought your struggles disqualified you, they were actually proving that you were the very one he had described. You are not random, you are written. Every season of your life is a verse. Every scar is a line. Every breakthrough is a chapter. And together they form living proof that prophecy did not end. It continues through you. You are walking evidence that God still speaks, that visions still manifest, that what was declared thousands of years ago is still unfolding in flesh and blood. This is why your story carries so much weight.
Because it is not just your story, it is the continuation of Enoch's testimony.
You are not simply surviving, you are embodying a prophecy that refused to die. That is why the attacks came. That is why you could never settle for the ordinary. That is why the fire inside you never let you rest. You are the fulfillment of a vision too powerful to fade, too sacred to be silenced. Chosen one, when you look back at your life, you may see pain, rejection, and confusion. But when heaven looks at your life, it sees alignment, precision, and destiny. The very things that broke you were the same things that shaped you into proof. Your scars are not evidence of failure. They are evidence that prophecy is alive and still unfolding. And here is the truth you cannot ignore. Enoch saw your victory. He saw the battles, but he also saw how you would rise. He saw the betrayals, but he also saw how they would only sharpen your strength. He saw the tears, but he also saw the laughter that would come after the storm. He saw the wilderness, but he also saw the promised land waiting for you. And now, as you hear these words, you are beginning to see it too. You are not lost. You are chosen. You are not forgotten. You are recorded. You are not ordinary. You are prophetic evidence. Enoch's vision is alive through your very existence.
And the question now burning inside you is this: if everything in your past was already seen and spoken, then what greater destiny is still waiting to be revealed in your future?
Chosen one, this is the hour. Not yesterday, not someday, now. The time of doubt is over. The age of hesitation is finished. Every tear you cried, every storm you survived, every silence you endured was leading you here, to this exact moment of recognition. You were never made to vanish into the crowd. You were never designed to dissolve into the noise. From the very beginning, long before your first breath, you were seen, marked, set apart. There is a seal on your life that no power of darkness can erase. There is a fire in your spirit that no storm can extinguish. You do not carry an ordinary identity. You carry prophecy made flesh. You are not standing at the edge of destiny. You are standing in